Welcome to More Than a Few Words, a marketing conversation for business owners. This is your host, Lorraine Ball. And those of you that have listened to me for a long time, you know that I love marketing. And so I love what I'm doing. And I think every business owner should be in a situation where they love what they're doing. And to have a conversation about how you get there, how you figure out what you love and what you should do, I've invited David Osk to join me. And just a quick side note, if you're looking for him after the show, he actually spells his last name Ask. So it is David Osk, but I am going to ask David how to create a heart centered business. What you should also know about him is that he is a standout in the world of entrepreneurship and product development. He's the driving force behind StartGuardPlus.com, a product showcased in over 3,000 retail giants. And alongside his success, he spearheads mastermind groups. He's passionate about personal growth and overcoming obstacles and dialing in on uniqueness of purpose. I could talk about him forever, but we only have 10 minutes. So, David, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much. I'm really, really honored to be here, truly.
I am so excited to have you because I was really enjoying the conversation we were having before we went on the air about creating businesses around who you are and what you're good at. When you're talking to business owners, how do you start the conversation? How do you help them figure out where they should be?
Yeah, what a great question. I'll get a bit philosophical here. So, my favorite quote in life here lately is by Benjamin Disraeli. He's a former PM of England, and the quote goes, "The greatest good you can do for another is not to share with him your riches, but to reveal to him his own." And what I just love about that is, each of us have a unique fingerprint, right? Our retina scan, and there's something, inside of our spirits and our souls that is, it has its own print. And so when you're looking at someone and you're thinking, man, I wonder what this person, what lights them up, what would cause their energy to rise, that kind of stuff. Well, it's really unique, right?
Mhm.
So really the place to start is just with those great questions. And I think that I look back and I've had a lot of mentors in my life that just asked me really powerful questions to, eventually get me headed in the right direction. But it took a lot of time to get there.
So I'm sitting home alone. I'm thinking I'm going to start a business, and I don't have anybody else to ask me those questions.
Yeah.
So, what should I be asking myself?
Right. So here's a funny thing, and thank you for mentioning my product. So my, my main book of business, as it were, is derived around a thermostat guard. I was actually the first one in the world to have a stat guard with a combination lock. So you might be thinking, well, how could that possibly tie to my uniqueness, right? Well, here's something kind of interesting is I realized, early on that, and again, this was some people just asking me questions about, about myself. And I realized first and foremost, I'm a creative. I'm not necessarily this wild entrepreneur, and I'm not necessarily this guy that has got these great ideas about products. Although I love ideation, and I love exploring, the not the shoulds but the coulds. And so it was kind of interesting. For many years, I wondered kind of what that product would be. Well, guess what? It really wasn't about the product for me. I don't care if I'm selling nuts and bolts or toilet seats or right thermostat guards with a combination lock. It's this idea that I'm a creative and I like looking at something and asking that question, how can we just make it a little bit better?
Mhm.
So quite often, it's not that I have all these original ideas. It's this idea of seeing something and I wonder if we just put a little spin on it or a twist, how could we make that thing better? So to answer your question, Lorraine, really it's largely for me to come to that sense of self-awareness. It was some really, really great books, and it was hanging out with people who had kind of a similar desires. And it was amazing. You become like the top 5 people you spend the most time with. I mean, we've heard that. I forget who originally quoted that. It was probably Napoleon Hill or something. But it's amazing. Books and then the people you spend time with, they will by far be the largest influences in your life, let alone entrepreneurial journey.
That that was definitely true for me, and I have seen that in so many people. And my favorite opportunity was when I got into a business book club.
Okay.
And now I was reading some interesting books and
Yeah.
I was sharing that with other people who had that same, as you said, that same joy, that same passion. And, things come and go and we've all gone off in different directions. But we had a reunion recently and it was so wonderful to see what we've all done.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't it neat? That sense of community is so important. And here's something else I would love to encourage any of the listeners, and I'll be a bit vulnerable here. This is something that I struggled with. We've often heard that term, the sin of comparison, right? When you
Mhm,
compare yourself to someone else's story, that kind of thing. And I'm 49 years old, and to have some level of success, it took a while.
mhm,
And so here's what I would encourage you to is when you join a mastermind or you join some type of a book club or you join, whatever organization you choose to be a part of, don't compare yourself, right? Love your story, love your journey, honor it.
mhm.
And just be in the room and be excited about other people and what they're doing and ask questions and have a curious spirit as opposed to what the world is always telling us, right? You've got to measure up and be somebody and be productive and all this kind of thing. The shoulds end up really stifling the coulds.
That is so true. When you start comparing yourself to others,
Yeah,
you're in a room with people that you could learn a lot from. But if you're not willing to be vulnerable, then you put up this false front that
yeah, yeah,
I got it all taken care of. I don't need any help. But you do.
yeah,
Everybody does.
yeah. And again, getting kind of deep here, that's the entire point of life, right?
Mhm,
The product, who cares really? It's a context, right? It's a context for experiencing relationships and helping people and building a team to grow, right? The entire point of life is the people around us. Some of
mhm.
them, right, that we love, and some of them we just like, right? But it's this idea that I want to experience a relationship in the context of being, the full version of myself while helping someone else do the same thing.
I want to circle back because you mentioned this idea of a mastermind group.
Yeah,
And there are all shapes and sizes and formats in which a mastermind group can exist.
sure.
Any tips on how to find the right one for you?
It's a great question. So I've got several colleagues really that run different types of masterminds. Some of them they're just oriented, and some of them are really niched down. Like
Mhm,
it's all about, I want to create passive income. That's the entire goal, so that I'm not, my time is not tied to my dollars, and which I think is fascinating. The group that I'm a part of is called ISI, Iron Sharpens Iron, and it's just for men, and it's really holistic. So we look at kind of all five areas of life, because if you think about it, right, if someone says that they're successful but
mhm,
their personal life is falling apart, right, or maybe their family is going great but they're just not making enough money, right, and it's really hard to survive. It's this idea that to be successful, there's no utopia here, but you really want to be successful holistically, because I don't
mhm,
want to I don't want to be 65 years old, divorced, my kids hate me, and I've got $10 million in the bank, right? I'd rather have a decent amount for my retirement and have some flexibility and options, but have a really strong marriage. Lisa and I, we're celebrating our 25th coming up here in April, and I'm excited. We get to take an Alaskan cruise and all that kind of stuff. But largely my story in the last 6 years as a part of ISI is having a band of brothers for my personal life and a board of directors, for my business.
Cool. So, really, it's about finding the people that you connect with that are in a similar place, or maybe the people you want to grow up to be.
Well, right. Yeah. Isn't that neat? I like that sentiment there. It's like, we look at some people and you admire the way they operate. You
Mhm.
admire their, whether it's their health or their finances, their marriage or their parenting, or, how they operate their business. And it's like, yep, I kind of want to head in that direction. And I'm going to start asking, asking better questions.
Awesome. Well, David, I could ask you lots more questions, but I'm going to put a pin in it here. I'm going to
Yeah.
encourage anybody, if you are curious about what David's been doing, definitely check out the link at Startup Guard Plus. And David, thank you for being a part of the show.
Yeah, and I just want to say, if anybody needs help in any way, no strings attached. That's kind of my one of my core values, is just to help when I can help. So yeah, and it's, if you visit statguardplus.com or email me at hello@davidosk.com, that would be great.
Awesome. I'll have both of those links in the show notes.
Awesome, thanks.
Thank you. And if you've enjoyed today's conversation, if you'd like to find other resources for your business, be sure to check out our toolbox. Look for MTFW wherever you listen to podcasts. This has been another episode of More Than a Few Words. Thanks for listening.